Hello and welcome all. I'm Pratibha Pillalamarri from Aspen Technology, and today we have with us Paul Robbins, Group Head for Asset Effectiveness from Evolution Mining. So Paul, welcome. Can you talk to us about Evolution and take us through the journey of how you came to implement Aspen Tech's prescriptive maintenance solution?
Thanks, Pratibha. Thanks for the introduction, and welcome everyone to IMARC. I'd like to have the opportunity to talk about Evolution's experience with the Aspen Tech prescriptive maintenance solution. So, yeah, appreciate that.
So was prescriptive maintenance a concept that you were aware of? Were you already looking for solutions in that space?
Yeah, perhaps what I'll do is I'll just give a bit of introduction to Evolution Mining. So we're a gold mine company, 5 wholly owned mines across Australia and Canada. FY22 we produced over 640,000 ounces with an ASIC of 1259. And so we've got mine sites in Cowan, New South Wales, Ernest Henry and Mount Rawdon in Queensland, Mungari in WA, and Red Lake, Ontario, Canada. We've got 10 million ounces of reserve and 29.9 million ounces of resources. And the focus for Evolution is long life, low cost, and high margin. So just give a bit of background. Yeah, so thanks.
So how did you hear about prescriptive maintenance?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I joined Evolution back in 2019, and as group head for asset effectiveness. And there we go, it's all working right now. And as part of that group, I'm part of the T&E group, Transformation and Effectiveness Group. And as part of that, we look at transformation opportunities within the business, and also a drive for opportunity in terms of operational excellence. And whilst we operate as a decentralized model, the group supports the mine sites from mining perspective, geotech, mining, processing, and asset management. So act as a team in supporting the sites. And one of the core functions is to look at opportunities where we can maybe deploy or implement some technology advancements. So that's how we initially kicked off with that. And in about January 2020 is where I was able to meet our group manager for IT for data analytics. And he introduced me through business development connections to their senior business development manager. And that's where I got exposure to MTEL, which is the Aspen Tech prescriptive maintenance software. Okay.
So was there a specific challenge that you were looking to address with prescriptive maintenance?
It's a great question again. It's probably at that time we're not aware of the Aspen Tech tool in terms of prescriptive maintenance. In terms of looking at the opportunity in terms of a technology which would help our sites improve in the area of prescriptive maintenance, condition monitoring. Also kind of fit in with a project that was going on at the time, which is developed. It's called Project Debbie within Evolution, which is data-enabled business improvement, where we look at creating value from the deployment of technology across the business.
So you have multiple sites, and each of the site is like looking for a solution in the same space, or how does it work? Is it centralized?
We work on a decentralized model, so the site's trying to support where we can in terms of the technology, and if we see a technology which can be deployed across all the sites, we'll kind of look at that as well. Yeah.
But each site is free to choose multiple solutions.
Yeah.
So did you have to go through like a comparative assessment process to pick and choose, which one works?
That's very, very good. So as part of the process, so as also timely as well, our the COO was also asked the question about what are we doing for condition monitoring across the sites? Can we use technology as an enabler? And so it was a great opportunity, I guess, the stars lined up, and we were able to look at the prescriptive maintenance solution from Aspen Tech as an opportunity to look at that as a potential to trial in the field.
So what was it that actually convinced you to implement this solution? I mean, can you talk to us through the process?
Yeah, sure. So apart from the buzzwords of using agents, which reminded me of The Matrix, the movie. But back in the day, in the early 90s, my background is condition monitoring, and was familiar with a product called Computational Systems Incorporated, where we use data vibration analyzers and the master trend software. And as part of that solution, they had a product called Inspector, which used spectrum and waveform data to perform rule-based analysis. And it was that trigger of that was like 25 years ago. I'm thinking, fantastic. And you can just see where the technology is driven now to the new solution from Aspen Tech and similar ones on the market. But just to see that AI, that machine-based learning was fantastic. So kind of grabbed my attention.
Why do you say that? You spoke about agents and the Matrix. So what was it about the solution that made you go for it and pick this? I'm pretty sure there were other solutions in the market.
Yeah, I think it was the approach of using multiple sensors, so time series multivariate analysis, where you can take all the sensors in from multiple pieces of equipment on a live basis. Using the algorithms from MTEL, they form a probability curve, and through that probability curve, they were able to identify failures in advance of normal techniques. So that was I think, a power of what was shown to us through Aspen Tech.
So how did you assess the solution and prove the value to evolution?
Yeah, so stepping back, this review on our charter was with this being a new technology, was to look at how we can assess the technology to actually help us in risk mitigation. So, protection of our assets. So that's kind of where we looked at. And the purpose of the trial initially was to accelerate our learning of the AI, the prescriptive maintenance solution for our business as well. So that's kind of was the intention of the kickoff of the trial.
Were there specific pieces of assets that you really wanted protected? Was there a specific challenge that you were addressing in terms of, okay, fine, this ball mill is troubling me? Did you have issues in the past that you were trying to solve using the solution?
We selected, as part of the process, as performing the pilot.
Yeah.
So we asked the site teams to select 4 or 5 assets from their site, which they believe has some issues with. And so we're able to set up the pilot using offline data. And that's how we really pushed the software to trial it, was to run an offline pilot with about 2 or 3 years worth of data, take that with our ERP, our Pronto information, and for the software to detect those failures in a timely manner. Yeah.
So the asset list came from the site?
Yep.
And what kind of sensors did you have in place for MTEL to kind of look at those patterns and detect? Where did you have it all instrumented?
It's a great question. So with the prescriptive maintenance solution with MTEL, one of the powers of the solution is that it can take in multiple types of sensors. So level sensors, pressure sensors, temperature, vibration. You can take all those sensors and produce a model, algorithm, to produce the probability curve. So what you're looking at is a real-time, live view of your sensors of the plant. So which is pretty powerful, right? Because it looks both upstream and downstream of that equipment. And that's what gives us the view on a live basis.
And that is quite important. Is there a specific piece of equipment that kind of, I'm coming back to the question, did you know of an issue that was bothering the site and that you had to apply the solution to and find out how this works?
Yeah.
Or did it work?
So what was the way we did the pilot and trialed the software was we used some data from the system, which we had on hand from our historian, and we're able to hide some of that failure information from their solution. So on 2 or 3 assets, we hid some known faults that we had on the equipment, and we asked the Aspen Tech team to run their solution on that and to see if they could pick up those faults. And that's how we determined at the end of the pilot that, hey, it was successful in determining the lead time for those failures on those assets.
So you hit some actual information to see if the solution...
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
To what degree have you scaled the solution? I know you spoke about a couple of assets that you initially started off your deployment, but where are you right now?
So the way, in terms of the deployment, we've deployed the solution at our Mungari operation in Western Australia. And from the initial offline pilot where we went with 4 pieces of equipment, we scaled that up to 10 to do the full online deployment. And now we're running about 31 assets across that site. And pretty much, yeah, that's pretty much where we ended up.
Did the solution help you with, getting this implemented faster, scaling or protecting more assets quicker?
Yes, that's a really good question. So as part of the offline deployment, that actually enabled us to speed up the online deployment once the business decision was made. And so we've been running now for the last 12 months with that solution at Mungari. So that was an enabler for us to speed up that deployment as well. Yeah.
Okay. So how much of the equipment is currently being monitored versus how much is not? Like, Can you give us an idea?
The assets which we've got, so I mentioned the 31 pieces of equipment in the processing plant are the ones which we've pretty much got all sensors on. So what the prescriptive maintenance solution has enabled actually is to us to also review what sensors we have on that equipment across the plant, and kind of for future planning, see what sensors again we could probably put on additional pieces of equipment.
So pretty much data is what is the bottleneck in getting this up and going?
Yeah.
Is there I'm pretty sure, so this one site that you're talking about, Mungari,
Yep.
What kind of assets? Are they fixed assets, mobile assets? What are you protecting right now? Can you paint a picture?
Yes, it's our fixed plant, processing plant. So we go crush to mill and CIP tank system. So that's the processing plant. We focused on that to perform the pilot, but it can be deployed. The Amtel can be deployed across all your mobile assets as well. So it can be expanded as well as needed from the business.
Okay. Let's talk about the value. You've spoken of, how far you've come with Amtel, in the last 2 years. So what is the value that you're seeing with this solution?
So the value we've been seeing with the deployment is, one, the site teams getting used to the technology.
Right.
So building up on what's called the agents, which are your failure agents and your anomaly agents to detect any failure modes going on with your equipment. And then also what the site teams have been able to do is tune the agents, because we're a gold processing plant. There's a lot of up and down, a lot of changes in the process. So the guys are able to kind of really tune in the agents for monitoring. And through that process, been able to identify failures, helping the operational team in terms of the way they operate the plant. And also, just for examples, is the Nelson concentrator, for example. They've been able to look at the drop in efficiency to pick that up. Heat exchange is another one, which we use for stripping in the gold processing. They've been able to look at changes there. So it's been pretty powerful in picking up those faults and identifying those, and working with the operations to have a feedback loop to see what's going on. So we've been monitoring that way. And then from the pilot, being able to identify, for example, with the Siemens SAG mill at Cal, identify issues with the air gaps as well, and also the liner bolts as well. So we picked up kind of some loose liner bolts and things which we didn't expect.
Losing a mill can be.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yep.
That's going to be a couple of hours to, or days. To get it up and running. Yeah, sorry.
So we measure the impact of say retorque of the liner bolts, how much time it would take the mill down, so you could kind of get a value for, I guess, the value for how much productivity lost over that period of time.
So was that value assigned to Amtel?
So what we've done with Mungari is, over the last year, we've identified over $420,000 worth of value.
Okay.
And that's been determined through whether the prescriptive maintenance solution has picked up the fault prior to any other system on site. So if Amtel picks it up, say 2 or 3 weeks before the SCADA system, we'll give 100% of the value to the Amtel. If it's kind of a split between the SCADA system and Amtel, we'll split it 50-50. So that's how we've come up with, for the last year, over $400,000 worth of value savings. Yeah.
But, so that is qualitative, which is fantastic. But are there any ancillary benefits that you have noticed, since you got the solution up and running?
The other advantages is for the site. So again, I mentioned about sensors. So from the prescriptive maintenance solution is being able to deploy additional sensors. It's also been a value justification for the primary crusher, where because of the identification of faults, the site team was able to install some more vibration sensors on that primary crusher. And also, we've got a small operation at Mangari, so in terms of a control room, it's pretty small. So we've been able to use the MTEL dashboard as a supporting mechanism for the operators and also the maintenance team. So look at the SCADA system plus also MTEL.
Oh, that's pretty good. So with all of this, how does the future look like for Evolution with respect to prescriptive maintenance?
So with the pilot trial and the online deployment the last 12 months, definitely proven that the technology works. And it's acting as an enabler for right now for us to make decisions on future deployments. So as per operational requirements, but definitely feel it's worth the value for sure.
Oh, we value this partnership for sure. And thank you everyone for joining us, and thank you, Paul, for your time to talk us through this journey of yours.
Thanks,
Thank
Pratibha.
you.